welcome back to another episode, the fourth one of 2024. And this week I figured we would talk a bit about Scott Pilgrim. So, over Christmas, kind of at the beginning of this year, I've kind of built a small collection around this particular property. By, oh god, what was his name? Brian O'Malley, I think, if I remember correctly. First kind of got caught up in Scott Pilgrim mania, circa 2010 with the film. I love this movie. As it says at the bottom there, prepare to have a new favourite movie. Wasn't wrong. Wasn't wrong at all. I fell in love with that film. I think all the actors are brilliant. I just love it. It's so good. I love all the trivia behind the making of the movie. I love that Chris Evans has this ridiculous jawline. I still occasionally force my wife to watch it every now and then, though it's been a while since I sat down and watched the original Scott Pilgrim movie. And over Christmas, I was down at my folks', my mother's, and borrowed their Netflix to watch all of the new anime that they've done, which has all of the original cast come back short of both of the twins. I don't think they came back at all, but to be fair, from what I understand, they don't speak English. So they weren't back at all. Maybe they learned English in that time, but I don't know. Anyway, what I think of Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. It's a interesting property. So it's an interesting series. If you've watched the film, or read the graphic novels prior, it's not an adaptation. It's not. In a strange roundabout way, it's a sequel. But it's also not a sequel. So, whilst the original Scott Pilgrim books and film are about Scott kind of realising what a terrible person he is and overcoming that in order to win the girl, Ramona goes through something similar with Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. Scott disappears. There are spoilers for this, obviously. Scott disappears, and she kind of goes on a journey of realising also what a terrible person she is, and she and Scott end up getting together as well, which I liked a lot. I thought it was fantastic. We got way more out of the 7 deadly exes. They all had way more personality. We got to see the guy who played Matthew Patel really shine. He's brilliant. Swiftly moved up the ranks to become, there he is, Matthew Patel. He's a pirate, because they're in this year, and he's just easily my favourite character in the whole thing. He's just hilarious, he's delightful, and he's in the whole thing. He's not just killed off as the first boss fight. But because I like the movie so much, I bought the game. I bought the game long ago in the before times. Before the bought them a long time ago, including all the DLC. So the game is it is a side-scrolling beat-em-up. Very, very similar to Streets of Rage, from what I'm given to understand. Back when Limited Run did cards with stuff, as well as a ticket to see the Clash at Demon Head, who are a band, who I will get to in a minute, and a Super Nintendo style instruction booklet. Great job by Limited Run on this collection. Absolutely great. All the DLC. But yeah, I bought that game 10 years ago. I bought, 14 years ago now. 14 years ago, 2010. Feeling old? So am I. I bought that game 14 years ago, and it was just damn hard, actually. It's a very difficult game, and it's not one I've ever beaten. But it's a game I fucking love. It's genuinely great. 4-player co-op, secret shops and hidden levels. It's everything. It's everything. Everything to do with the Scott Pilgrim game is in this collection. And As someone who's had that shoved on a 360 for over 14 years, great. There's a good few games from that era I wish got physical releases nowadays, like Self-Factor Psychokinetic Wars. Self-Factor? Might be Self-Factor. Can't remember. That's alarming. Or Commander's Attack of the Genos and The Maw and things like that. Just all of those XBLA games back when Xbox Live Arcade was a thing and not just the hogwash on Xbox One nowadays. But, so, it's been a bit of a Scott Pilgrim time for me. I have acquired a few things. I got this when it came out, to be fair, when Limited Run announced this. And when Ubisoft published this and everything, and Limited Run went, we're releasing this game. Day one purchase. Literally day one. Second it went live, I was like, bought it. And now it is stuck in my collection. I've played it a fair number of times. And to be honest, anything that has kind of Sonic Adventure 1, I believe. Yeah, Sonic Adventure 1 inspired artwork is something I'm always going to be a big fan of. But yeah, no. Recently, they had a big old sale. Limited Run always seemed, for some reason, I think they expected Scott Pilgrim to be more popular than it was, ignoring two things. Number one, the movie did not do well, and the game, in turn, did not do as well either. But they had a big old sale on, and I acquired a fair number of things. I also acquired something else just prior to Christmas. 2023 that falls in line, and I'll get on to that. So, yeah, big old sale on this January. These arrived like literally last week, which is fun. So this is kind of a pickups video, kind of me talking about my time with Scott Pilgrim, what I thought of takes off, all that kind of stuff. So, to begin with, we have lenticular cards, which is always nice, including playable characters. So originally I think we just have 4. You had Scott, Kim, Ramona, Stephen, and then you get the, I think, Nega Scott, Nega, N-E-G-A, Nega Scott, who is Evil Scott. Then we got Wallace, who's his cool gay roommate, and easily my favourite character in the entire movie, played by Kieran Culkin, who is the brother of Macaulay Culkin, and I think appears in Home Alone 1 as the kid who wets the bed, if I remember correctly. So yeah, step up for Kieran Culkin being the best character in this film, outside of the Ellen Wong. Ellen Wong? Yes, who's not listed on the back. Naughty. Ellen Wong plays Knives, and she's fantastic. She's delightful. Even in Scott Takes Off, she's fantastic. So having a nice card of Knives Chow, big fan. Yeah, she was just kind of a side assistance character in the original launch of the game. But as time went on, people went, we can't play as Knives because... So the developers, whoever they may have been, because I'm going to be honest with you, I have no idea. Yeah, I think it was just Ubisoft. Ubisoft made it. Yeah, whoever they were decided to pop her in. Picked up so kind of going off of this Sonic Adventure inspired artwork, picked up a couple key rings, which were made in China of Scott. So we've got Scott. We've got Ramona Flowers. Yeah, they're fine. They're very, very, very chibi. Not in a like the graphic novels or film or even the game kind of way. They're just very different, very weird looking. They're cool though. And I picked up, because I have it on Switch, I picked up a cool little Switch case for it as well, because you know what? I fucking love Scott Pilgrim. It's even got their Sex Bomb. So Sex Bomb is Scott's band. If you know absolutely nothing about Scott Pilgrim, which if you don't, why are you watching this video? Yeah, that's the Sex Bomb logo on the back of it for his band, which is pretty sick. My wife, being the wonderful lady that she is, got me that. So I think, if I remember correctly, that is Ramona's bag. And she got me the pin set. So these are like little pins for jackets and whatever of all the bosses and all the playable characters in the game, which is very, very cool. So you've got Knives, Kim, Matthew Patel, Scott, Ramona, Stephen Stills, Wallace Wells. That is Envy. That is Scott's ex. You've got Roxy, one of the Katiyanagi twins, the other one of the Katiyanagi twins. Todd, the drummer for Clash at Demon Head, which is Envy's band. Whose name escapes me, but I know she has a cyborg arm, which is on the pin actually. Now look at it, pretty cool. Yeah, you've also got Gideon, Nega Scott, Todd, and Lucas Lee. This is extraordinarily cool. Big fan of that. So thank you, wonderful wife. Yeah, that's going on Pride of Place, on wherever the heck all the Scott Pilgrim merch is going to go. So, yeah, I love Scott Pilgrim. You know this. I've been talking about it for 11 minutes and 35 seconds about how much I like Scott Pilgrim. But I'm also a big fan of all the in references. So the writer, Brian Lee O'Malley, was a big gamer, huge gamer. Big part of Scott Pilgrim is it's inspired by video games, so having its own video game. Very fitting. The movie full of like little references, like life, like Scott gets a 1-up. He gets a 1-up. He's getting a life. He has a P-bar. He gets this new sword at the end of the movie, which ups his stats. And then he gets another sword, which is the power of understanding, or self-worth, or whatever. And that gives him even more stats to finally beat the final boss. In the manga, the leader of the League of Seven Evil Exes to control Ramona's love life, Gideon, he turns into Sephiroth. He turns into Sephiroth's final form from Final Fantasy IV. So, as a result, there is a colossal number of video game references, including the Clash at Demon Head. Now, the Clash at Demon Head is, as I said, Envy Adams' band. Envy is Scott's ex, his principal one, the big ex. So, funnily enough, because their band name is a game reference, I picked it up. Yeah, the Clash at Demon Head. A game played by Brian Lee O'Malley when he was younger, during his childhood years on the NES. And you know what? I had to find that. I won it online last year. It did not show up in time for when I really needed it. But this is extremely cool. It finally showed up about a week ago. And you know what? It's not a game I know too much about. It's not. I know it's a side-scrolling platformer, and I know it's very typically 80s. Just going by that artwork. Focus, please. Focus? No? Okay, fine. It's very 80s. But beyond that, I don't know too much about it. I'm hoping the music's good, because that's kind of a big part of Scott Pilgrim. So if the music's not good, you'll be disappointed. 20 quid. 20 quid. Which, considering how much that game can typically go for, pretty good. But yeah, so, yeah, that's Scott Pilgrim, guys. Just me talking about the new show, how I think it does a lot of things right. It does a lot of things differently. It gives us more insight into Ramona, more insight into all the evil exes, how Ramona, being such a bitch to a lot of them, really screwed them up, as well as people. In other ways, they're just kind of glossed over, like Todd and Wallace. Yeah. We get some excellent fight scenes, some fantastic animation. We got the same with the movie. It's one of my favourite films of all time. It is, from its comedy to its characters to the fact that Michael Cera is not playing a typical Michael Cera character where he is playing an asshole. He is playing a colossal asshole. And the fact that that film spawned off into a game that, whilst I'm terrible at it, is still a lot of fun, that got all of this merch years down the line is certainly something that's very exciting. So yeah, that is me, done for another week. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share this with your friends, all the diddly ding dong do. Yeah, that is me signing off for another week.